entwined in this quilted love, our hearts aligned. So let the world have.
Happy Friday, everybody. Hello. Hi. I am super excited for what we're doing today. I just want to pre-warn y'all. Munchie is outside, and you're going to hear Dolly barking because Munchie is outside. And I might have to get up and go let Munchie in at some point while we're here today. But Dolly's going to be barking. I'm so sorry. She might bark, and if you have dogs, get your dogs barking. I am so sorry. Y'all, today we are speaking one of my love languages, and that's multimedia type art quilts. And we're going to be doing some watercolor painting and some acrylic markers. That's what we're doing today. Before we get started, I just want a quick announcement. If you're on Patreon, don't forget tonight we're doing our nightcap Zoom between 8 and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you can join us. I don't know that I'm going to be working on anything, just hanging out. I don't know. I guess we'll see where my mood is. I might just be hanging out with y'all. Hi, everybody. Donna says, my rabbit is beautiful. Isn't that pretty? I finally broke out the new to me airbrush. I have a couple other airbrushes, but I purchased one off of the Amazon to try it out as a kit. It comes with a compressor and everything. And I've been excited to try it out. I finally got a little bit of time one afternoon this past week to experiment with it. It has been like 13 years, a little over 13 years since I even picked up an airbrush. So I'm a little rusty and dusty with it, but it was so much fun. And I cannot wait to play around with it a little bit more. But yeah, I airbrushed the background of the rabbit picture. Hi, everybody. My whole goal with that is to experiment with an airbrush and applique, and that'll come as I experiment more with it. So stay tuned on that. I'm super excited for it. Let's talk about media or a multimedia type of art quilts, because I already know. I'm going to get asked this question, and I just want to talk about it for a second. So today we're using Meeden acrylic markers. They are permanent once they're dry. If you go to the listing, which is linked down in the description box, it says they are light, fast, and UV resistant and permanent once dry. Would they withstand washing this quilt? I don't know. I haven't washed a quilt after using these markers. I haven't had them long enough to test that out. I'm not even going to pronounce this because I know I'm going to mess it up. But I've linked this down in the description box too, and that listing will bring you to the set that I have with that many colors. But there's different sets in the listing, smaller sets. Do you know what I'm saying? But, oh, the exposure is too bright for you to see. There's a link down in the description box if you want to check these out. These are watercolor paints, and I love them. It's only one of my many, many, many different brand sets that I have of watercolors. These, if you use products like GAC 900, which is a fabric medium, you can wash your quilts if you ever wanted to. Today, I'm going to be focused on an art quilt that is, in my plan, never going to be washed. But I know that people are going to be curious. Can you use these things in quilts that are washed? So before we get started, I just want to let you know, down in the description box, I have linked, and you can get this for free, a care sheet. Look how bright the sun. I'm not used to the sun being so bright. You can't read it. There's a care sheet PDF. If you want to print this off and include it, like let's say you create art quilts using the techniques I'm going to show you today, and you sell them at vendor fairs, farmers markets. Maybe you're set up in a studio somewhere. Maybe you sell privately your art quilts, and you do this method, and you know that This is not a quilt that I would ever want someone to wash. It's like a painting, right? Then there is this care sheet that you can download, and you could include it with your quilt. You know, this is how you take care of it. Don't put it in the washing machine, right? Don't submerge it in a bath of water. Care instructions for what I'm showing you today. But if you're someone who thinks that I would want to make this quilt and so that you could wash it, or maybe I want to apply painting on fabric or making quilt blocks that are going in a quilt that can be washed, I have linked several videos of past stuff that I've done for you and demonstrated with washing experiments how well these watercolors, not this, I haven't experimented washing this, but watercolor paints hold up in washing your quilts. Okay. Sylvia said, do you only use the medium on those you're going to wash? Yes. Otherwise, today I'm not going to use any fabric medium. Would I say wash this quilt? Absolutely not. But let me just show you. Also, should you pre-wash your fabric before doing this or not? I have not pre-washed my fabric today. I did not pre-wash my fabric for that quilt right there. Okay, but down in the description box, there's a couple of videos. I just want to pull this up. If you were interested in painting on fabric that is going in a quilt that you know will be washed, this that you see on the screen right now, this little giraffe, I did not pre-wash the cotton muslin fabric before painting on it. I did use the GAC 900 fabric medium. It was heat set with an iron for 3 to 5 minutes. And the little 3 pictures down in the bottom show the original painting and after the first wash and after the second wash. Washed with hot water, and it went through the dryer 2 times. So you can see the results there. And then the little owl was another video, and this was with pre-washed cotton muslin fabric using the same fabric medium, and a before and after washing with a hot water setting and drying in the dryer on a normal setting. So you can see the differences, right? That was watercolor paints like I'm using today. Now today I'm not using any fabric medium, and I would say do not wash this quilt. If you don't want it to wash out, don't put this quilt in water. There are all types of quilts. Some of them are for display purposes only, and that's okay. Right? Whew. This is the first time I've talked all day. I was reading through the live chat. I feel like I'm so scrunched in here. I was reading through the live chat before we got started, and I saw that we were talking about people watching from all over the world, and that is so exciting to me. I'm so grateful everybody is here. But it also makes me nervous. I took a class in high school because in high school I was assigned a career person, guidance counselor, and that counselor highly suggested that I take a public speaking class. And I didn't want to, and I fought against it, but they were like, yep, we're signing you up whether you like it or not. And I struggled in that class so much. And now look at me, 50 years old, on YouTube, talking to people all over the world. But it still makes me nervous. The bunny. The bunny is part of a 4 different images bundle, right? And if you're interested in getting the bunny, the link is in the description box. This month we've been using, let me switch down to this because you can't see nothing. The 3 mushrooms is free, and that's also down in the description box. But if you want the bundle, which includes the bunny and the box and the basket of mushrooms, that link is down there too. But this is the image that I used, and I'll just bring you up to speed to where I am right now, right? I enlarged the 3 mushroom picture, which this is the normal size. I enlarged it to 150%, printed it as a poster, so it gave me 4 sheets that I taped together to get this size. So you see the size difference. And then I used my light pad and I traced it onto a piece of fabric. And then I quilted it, or thread painted and quilted it. Now, if you are new here and you're like, well, how did you trace it, Lisa? What did you do? I have linked the Capen video where I show my setup for tracing the image and putting it on the fabric. That is linked down in the description box. So many resources today. Right, so that's how I got the image on the fabric. I traced it, and I just want to show y'all. Even someone, I would say I'm pretty seasoned, I still make mistakes, y'all. I always have these 2 pens next to me. One is a Pilot friction pen, and this erases with heat. So you see most of my image, you just see the quilting, right? And the thread painted mushrooms, right? Well, halfway through tracing my image to get ready to stitch it, I had to get up for something. And when I came back, I picked up this pin, which is a gel pen. Fabulous writing pen. You get like 10 of them for $1.25 at the Dollar Tree. These are my favorite pens, but I picked this pin up, and you can see where I continued tracing what had not been traced. And I did not realize that until I stitched everything and then went to erase all my marks with my iron, and all of these marks never went away. And that's when I realized I finished tracing with this pen. So if you're wondering why there's some black marks tracing on, it's because they're not going to go away. That is what it is. I didn't want to start all over brand new though, because how much work is it, right, to trace it, you know, get all your layers together, trace it, stitch it all, cut all those jump stitches, and then realize, you know, so that's why that's like that. So we're having fun, y'all. I'm going to start with these. I'm going to show you the inside of the box now that you can see that. Right there. I'm not going to say it because I will say it wrong, and I don't want to. That's a lot of colors though, right? I love these watercolors. I got this palette 3, 4, 5, at least 5 years ago. It's one of my go-to palettes, and I use it a lot. And you'll see the colors that I use the most are almost gone, right? So this is what we're using today. So before we get started, you know what I'm going to do is, this is just water. I'm going to just prime up my paints just a little bit, get them a little wet. I have absolutely no space here. I'm going to put this off to the side. I'm going to be using some watercolor brushes. I like this one, and I like this one. I like the other ones too, but primarily these are my 2 most used brushes. And the first thing I'm going to say is, I say this all the time. There's no rules. There's no right place to start. There's no wrong place to start. There's no right way and wrong way to do this. Under normal circumstances, I would have music on in the background, and I would zone out and forget about anything else that's going on, and I would just have fun creating with color. Do you know what I'm saying? If you wanted to start in the background there and then do the mushrooms in the grass, good. If you wanted to start in the grass and paint the mushrooms and then the sky. Perfect. If you wanted to paint the mushrooms and then everything else, perfect. No right and no wrong. The pen will be your black highlighting. Yes, Donna. And that's a good way to look at it, right? It'll show some details. Is it better to add medium to the fabric before painting, adding the paint, or adding after you painted to stop it being stiff? I think it depends on the person. A lot of the times, if I were using fabric medium, sometimes, like if I'm using Derwent Inktense, I'll paint where I'm going to, let's say I'm getting ready to do the top of the mushroom. I'll add to this naked fabric medium, and then come in with paint over top of that. Sometimes I'll drop some fabric medium right onto my paint and then paint. Yeah. Today I'm not using any of that though. So what I am going to do is, let's start with the sky. Let's do that. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take my water mister bottle, and I'm going to mist the background of the sky and just sort of get it a little damp. Now, if you oversaturate the fabric and use a lot of paint on your brush, watercolors, or even acrylics, there will be some bleeding. So just keep that in mind. I really feel like this genre of painting on fabric, the more you do it, the more experience you have knowing what's going to happen when you put the paint on, right? How much water to use, how much water not to use, right? And we're just going to quickly, I'm going to add a little bit more water to the paint itself, but I also have a little container right here that has some water that I can dip my brush into, right? I feel like I want you to see everything, but I need space to move. There we go. I'm going to get my brush wet. And we're going to come in here with some blue. And I'm going to start adding some blue in the sky. And here's the thing, y'all. I generally like to be on live for about an hour. So are we going to paint this whole entire thing today? No, we're not. But I just want to do a demonstration, really, right? And get you thinking. Just get you thinking of some of the things that you can do. Also, you're going to see that this is quilted first and I'm painting on top of that. A lot of the times, like if you go to the description box and you click on those videos, you're going to see that I'm just starting out with flat fabric and I paint and then I come back in and quilt. So sometimes I do it one way and sometimes I do it another way. So I'm just going to add some blue, some darker blue up near the top. And I also have, doesn't matter if you paint first, then make your quilt sandwich. Nope, it does not matter. You could do it either which way. A lot of the times, I'll paint first and then come back and quilt. I have some baby wipes. Sometimes I'll come in and soften it with a baby wipe. See that? See how it moves the color around? Sometimes I'll do that. See how it's just bringing that color right down? You could also do that with a cloth. Like I make lots of t-shirt quilts, right? And I have lots of offcuts from making those quilts. Like I cut the sleeves off. I'll save sleeves from a quilt and have a box of rags. Those work really great for this too. You could just spray some water on a rag and move the color around. See how softer that color is? And it just brings it right down like a watercolor, right? I'll even spray with water, my baby wipe, and even more, move that paint around. And I don't even mind if it goes over top of my flowers a little bit. What I have found in my painting experience is that transferring colors from one thing to another and leaving the edges softer makes everything sort of merry. Do you know? I don't even know if I'm saying that right. But a little blue from the sky over top of the leaves. See how much softer that is? We'll add a little bit of a darker blue up towards the corners. My face is covering part of that. Here you go. Bring it along the edge like this. Along the edge like that. And a little bit more right there. See how it just drags that color right out of there? Sort of like an ombre. You want a little bit of blue, which might not be showing up on the camera, behind the mushrooms, behind those flowers. And we're going to call that good. That's a little streaky. Let me see if I can blend that out just a little bit more. That's better. Now, one of the things that you could do, so now I'm just going to toss that. One of the things that you could do is heat set this in between colors, right? So let's say you wanted to paint the leaves, but you didn't want the background damp at all. The more damp your fabric is, the more chance the colors are going to soak and bleed, right? Bleed out of the shapes that you want, if you want it to be nice and crisp lines, right? So the drier the fabric, the less chance that that's going to happen. Does anyone know if you have to use cotton batting or can you use polyester? The batting that I'm using is an 80-20, so 80% cotton, 20% polyester. I think more importantly, it's the top fabric. So I set this up because I knew I'd be doing lots of thread painting on it, drawing out the mushrooms and stuff. This is a cotton muslin fabric that I heat set some very lightweight interfacing on the back side of it. And then because I wanted it to have lots of quilting definition, I used 2 layers of the cotton, the 80-20 batting, and a back fabric. So that's my setup right there. I get a sip of my tea. Mimsy makes a really good point. Thank you. Because I wouldn't have thought about it. I just talked about heat setting this. If you're using a polyester batting, you probably don't want to do that. At least not with a high heat, right? Because you will melt your batting. All right, so let's go in and let's color in some grass. Now, because I want it to be more fluid, I'm going to wet my fabric down here. It just helps the paint move so much easier. Let's clean this brush. And take a look at some greens. I like a more sappy green color instead of like a leafy green. So I'm going to come right up here. I'm going to try to avoid painting directly on the flowers, but that's just me. Yeah, I took that public speaking class in high school. I would wake up with night sweats and nightmares days leading up to having to do these I would tell you, as much as I despised taking that class, I really did have a great teacher, and she did all kinds of assignments, right? My easiest assignment in that class, though, was we had to write a story, and then we went into the next, it was like a utility closet next to the classroom, and she had a microphone in there and a speaker in the classroom. And so I guess that this assignment was how you spoke, right? And did you deliver your story in such a way that people felt moved by what you were saying, and not so much what you looked like while you were telling your story. And that was the easiest assignment in that whole class. Because nobody could see you, and you just read your story, and all you had to focus on was how you were speaking. Do you know what I'm saying? And now here we are painting on YouTube. I think Bob Ross would be so proud of me. But am I a Bob Ross? Absolutely not. All right, I'm going to take another baby wipe and we're going to spread some of this green around. Just spreading it and softening it up. There's some dark spots and there's some light spots. I like that. I think it adds some contrast. Oh, hold on a second. I gotta get my phone on because Munchie is outside. My battery just died. And she has a halo collar, so I have an app that shows me exactly where she is in the yard. And when she's outside, unsupervised, I like to be able to see my app. Now, one of the cool things is when I stitched this, I used a polyester embroidery thread, a matte one. And that is one thing I did not link down in the description box. I can come back and add it if you want me to. But I used a light cream one. And it is taking on the color of my watercolor paints. So the stitches also are being colored by the watercolor paint. I think that's pretty cool. But there is some green grass, right? Very soft. I'm going for soft on this one. Donna says, I think we're all glad you took that class so we could benefit from it. Thank you, Donna. I'll tell you, I don't know that it ever gets easy, at least not for me. Now, one of the things that I want to show you, because y'all remember I started off, I sprayed the sky area, right? And then I came back and I sprayed the green grass area before painting. And so the fabric is damp. And I added some green to the grass. I don't know that it's going to translate and show this on the screen, but in person I can see it. The green is sort of lifting up into the blue a little bit. So I'm going to show you that can happen, right? The type of watercolor painting that I'm going for, I love that. I think it just softens everything. But if you want harsh lines and no bleeding, and you're using watercolor or even acrylics, watch your water use, right? The drier everything is, the more control you have over the paint pigment, okay? You could use watered down acrylic paint. Absolutely. Yes, Darlene. And in the videos that I've linked down in the description box, I think I labeled them. And yeah, I think I titled them so you know what you're clicking on. So, two of those I used acrylic craft paint with fabric medium. So you have a lot more control, right? Yeah. Now, I don't think I'm going to turn on my iron. I'm just going to continue painting. We're going to start to add some color to the mushroom tops. Do you want to? Yeah, I use acrylic paint a lot. Sometimes, because you're going to see here in a minute, I'm going to use some acrylic paint markers. A lot of the times on my stuff, I will use watercolor and craft paint, acrylic craft paint. Because I like to mix it up. All right, what color do we want to paint the top of that mushroom? I'm going to keep these nice and juiced up with some water. I kind of like the more orangey red. Let's use it. Let's do it. I feel like maybe I should have zoomed in a little bit, but that's okay. Now I'm not going to go back and spray with water the mushroom before I start painting. When I sprayed the sky, the mushroom got wet. So it's a little tiny bit damp. But I have more control over keeping that paint in my quilted lines. Do you know what I'm saying? Now I am going over top of the little dots a little bit that I quilted in there. I feel like if I were taking my time, I'd probably try to avoid that a little bit more. But one of the cool things about these acrylic markers that I want to show you is they kind of cover up mistakes. So I'm okay with making a couple boo-boos on these mushrooms so that I can show you the beauty of the acrylic markers. Painting, painting. I feel like I should be telling you a story or something. I have no stories coming to mind though. There, isn't that a pretty mushroom color? Now I want all three mushrooms to be slightly different. Because just like in real life, I feel like there's no three mushrooms the same. So I'm going to use a different red, the one right next to it, for this mushroom right down here. And it really does not take a lot of paint on your brush. Do you know what I'm saying? Painting right up to that line. I will say this in my experience with painting on fabric and then quilting. Like today I've quilted and then we're painting, right? If you like to color, or maybe even paint by numbers, you might want to quilt first and then paint. But if you like to paint and then quilt, right? Using the fabric medium and then heat setting this does remove some of the tooth of the paint in the fabric. But if you were to paint this and then quilt, I would use a strong thread, like a polyester thread, I think you'll have less thread breakage from the tooth of the fabric with the paint on it. I just want to show you something that's really cool that's happening. Because the fabric is slightly damp up there, I want you to see how the color is wicking through the stitch lines of my mushroom spores. Do you see that? See, those are quilted lines, and the color is just sort of bleeding through that. So that's kind of a cool happening. When did you start drawing and painting? I can tell you exactly. I was 15 years old. For a couple years before that, up until I was 15, we used to watch Bob Ross on WHRO on Saturday mornings. And the year I turned 15, you know, everybody wants to know, what do you want for Christmas? And I said, Bob Ross had a line of books and his own line of paint and paint brushes and the little screen you can put in your coffee can for cleaning your brushes, all that stuff. And when anybody would ask me, what do I want for Christmas or my birthday, I would say I want Bob Ross paints. And so that's what happened. I got Bob Ross paints and paint brushes, and that's when I really started. Now, I believe, like most creative people, and if I were to take a poll in the room right now, I'd be willing to bet that many of you don't have just one genre of creating that you do, right? Like, can anyone say, quilting is the only thing that I do? I don't paint, I don't draw, I don't hand embroider, I don't machine embroider, I don't, nothing. No beadwork, nothing. I only make quilts, right? Most of us have other things that we love doing as well, right? So throughout my years, I got away from oil painting, and that's what Bob Ross used, was oil paints. And there'd be long periods of time when I would not paint at all. And I would draw portraits in charcoal. I would paint with acrylics. I would paint on glass with acrylics mixed with clear glue, right? All kinds of stuff. I'm just going to go in and add a little bit of dark towards the bottom of the mushrooms. And that paint is still wet, so it's just sort of blending in. One of the reasons why I like using the watercolor on fabric, though, is because it is soft. It is softer looking. Do you know what I'm saying? If you go and you watch the videos that I've linked down in the description box, I think you're going to see a big difference between what I'm doing right now and the look of those quilts. Do you know what I mean? To me, I really feel like watercolor has a softer look. Let's go a tad bit even darker on this other little baby mushroom. All right, we're going to let that dry and set up for a minute. I came across your videos on Facebook. New quilter, 1 year, painted 40 years. Excited to try these two together. I appreciate the live classes as I'm homebound for the Wow, I'm so glad you're here. I am so glad that you have things that keep you excited. And don't you feel like trying new things keeps that excitement going, right? I just feel like that's so important. We should all have something excited to look forward to. So if you are one of those, and I call them rare people, that you only do one thing, and you find yourself saying, I have lost my sojo or my mojo, whatever you want to call it. Try something new. Try something new. You'll find yourself excited. And then when you come back to sewing or quilting, then you feel excited about that again. Do you know what I mean? My hubby said we can't handle another hobby. I don't even want to talk about, I think that's Miss Christina. I don't even want to talk about hobbies in our household. Okay? Because we are ADD when it comes to crafting genres in my house. Let's add some color to the trunks of these mushrooms. What colors do we want to use? Let's use this. I'd say this is a yellow ochre. Sort of, wouldn't you? Let's add a little bit of that. You name a craft supply, chances are we might have it here at our house. And Harlan is just as guilty as I am. We complement each other very well when it comes to that. I'm just going to spread that color out with a little bit of water on my brush. I don't want to add too much. I don't want it to spread too much. So that's good. Let's add a little here. Do you want to know one of the awesome things? I was thinking about this too before we got started. Do you want to know one of the awesome things about doing smaller projects like this? When we're talking about having ADD when it comes to creating and our crafts and stuff. Working on smaller projects like this, I don't lose the excitement before I have a chance to finish. Like you'll notice the bunny quilt behind me, that has a binding on it, y'all. My Capen quilt, that has a binding on it. And one of the things I found last year, or even the year leading up to it, is when I work on a project that takes a longer amount of time, chances are I'm going to lose the excitement about it, and it's going to feel more like work. And before the studio tour, I quilted and added, or some stuff just needed a binding. That was it. It was quilted. But it sat like that for at least 2 years before I had the will to pick it up again. Do you know what I mean? Just to finish it. These smaller projects, I don't lose the excitement about them before I have a chance to finish them. Which is awesome because I've kind of committed to doing the studio tour again this year. And I need some stuff in that tour. New stuff. Do you know what I mean? Now let's go in and let's add some brown just to darken it up just a little bit. Like so. That might have been too wet. There we go. I kind of like that. And let's go in with a little bit of that darker brown. One of the reasons I hesitate doing stuff like this during my videos, especially live, is that my hands are super shaky. So you see I have to sort of brace my fingers. Let's change to this different brush. I have to sort of brace my fingers a little bit. We're going to add some color to the bottom of these mushrooms. And then I have to turn my phone on and check on Munchie, y'all. Because she's just a baby. But I would tell you, if you have a dog that loves to be outside more than you do, and you're able to in your area, check out the halo collars. It's fantastic for Munchie because she just wants to be outside. She wants to be outside. Our property, while it's not humongous, it's bigger than what we want to fence in. We don't want to do a fence around our entire property. You know what I'm saying? But I can watch her while I'm working. And it's wonderful. There, we're going to let that set up for a second. Mary Jo says, I love smaller projects too. I get weary if it takes very long to finish. Me too. Steffi's going through a phase where she just wants to tidy up. That was me right after Christmas. And I even rearranged a little bit. And the good news is I haven't felt the need to rearrange since then. And here we are towards the middle of February. So that's good. All right, we're going to let that set up for a second. Let me get this app turned back on since my phone is charged up a little bit. And I can see where she is. The good news is she has some friends. The people across the street diagonally have 2 dogs, and the person across the street, straight from us, has a dog. And they all love to play with Munchie. There she is. She's right there. She's right outside the studio. And they all love to play. So while Munchie can't leave our yard, they can come over here. No one's out there with her right now, but she has friends. She's very social. Yeah, she stays in the yard with it. So it's a little collar. And if she, on the app, you can set up your fence, right, around your property. And if she approaches the invisible fence, it'll beep. And then if she gets closer, it'll beep again. It will give her a tiny little tit, if she passes the fence. So it only took her a couple of days to figure out all the boundary lines. And it'll tell you on the app if she crossed the fence, if she got a warning, if she got a warning beep. It gives you alerts, you know. And she has done so well, like the last 2 weeks. She's not crossed the fence. Now she has gotten lots of warning beeps. She gets a warning beeps. But she doesn't cross the fence. That is still pretty damp. Hello, everybody. I feel like that's good for a minute, right? Let's bring in some acrylic markers. So I don't forget to do that. I'm going to close up these baby wipes so they don't dry up. Acrylic markers. This was one of the art supplies I got for Christmas, y'all. This box has 72 colors, but I think you can get them with less colors. Look at that. Now, if you click on that listing, it'll bring you over to tell you all the things you can paint on it, like rocks. Don't you think painting on rocks sounds like a lot of fun? Glass, metal, fabric, all kinds of stuff. I have painted on wood with them since getting them. And I have done a little bit of painting on fabric, but I have not washed them. So I have no experience with that. Okay, and how they would hold up if you washed them. Carolyn says, that's my problem. I have too many projects started. Oh, you're in good company. Who doesn't have a project or 2 or 20 already going, right? You're in the perfect company. Donna said, when would you say that your craft was established? Which one? Which one, Donna? Which craft? This? Painting on fabric stuff? Well, I mean, technically, I started quilting when my son was just like 1, and he's 30. And one of my first set of quilts I did for everybody was I made these little villages, and on the village quilts, I did raw edge applique totally the wrong way, using the wrong stuff. And I wondered why I was having so much problems. But on those village quilts, I did come in with some paint. I didn't know about fabric medium or none of that stuff. This was way before the days of YouTube. And I did paint some stuff on those quilts. Ooh, Mempsy got metallic colors. Acrylic paint pens. Ooh, now I want some. Let's see, let's pick a good color for the little dots on the mushrooms. That looks like a good dot color. With these, it says to shake them up. There's a little ball rattling. I don't know if you can hear that. Shake it up. All of them. Let's see, Donna. I don't know. Through the years, I've just added to the list of stuff. This is what it looks like, right? The little brush tip. But it's not a brush tip like this brush tip. Do you know what I'm saying? With different bristles. through the years, I just like to add to my collection. Do you know what I'm saying? Now, one thing about these is you can do details. I guess, you know what? Let's zoom in a little bit. Zoom in just a little bit. Give me a second. Hopefully that's not too out of focus for you. This color is a little bit darker than what I wanted it to be though. But you can do fine details with these markers. So I kind of really love that. We'll just add a base color with this darker color. Like so. Yeah, Munchie just keeps herself occupied. She's a digger. She likes to dig. So that's not perfect for our yard. Do you know what I'm saying? But she just explores. I didn't quilt any little dots on this mushroom, but I feel like it should have a couple. Let's go in with a little bit of a lighter color. We'll go in and add some bright spots on these mushroom dots. I really kind of like that color, so let's come in and paint directly on the flower. And let's see if these cover up my pen marks, which would be lovely. See that? And it does. Fabulous. So there's that pretty little flower. Let's come over here. Let's do that one. Pretty. And let's use that same yellow on this one. This one down here had the pin too. And it's, for the most part, at least hiding it some. Do you know what I'm saying? Painting, painting. Perfect. Let's use some different colors. Let's bring in purple. No, purple is my favorite color, but let's bring in this dusty purple. Let's do a couple of purple flowers. Wanda says, although this is very pretty, I don't think I would do this one. But the visit via YouTube is nice. That's okay, Wanda. The reality of it is I don't expect everybody to do every single project that I do. Do you know what I'm saying? And the only reason I do so many projects is to have something different to talk about each week. Do you know what I mean? I think the reality of it is most people don't have time for that. Do you know what I'm saying? I think my whole thing is sharing. Like maybe you see this video today, and a year from now, there's a project you want to do, and you're wondering, well, how can I do that? And then it comes to mind, oh, well, Lisa shared using acrylic markers, paint markers, on a quilt, so maybe I'll give that a try for this different project that I'm wanting to do. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the whole point. Not necessarily that everything that I do you should do. Do you know what I mean? I'll add some purple to this flower that's quilted and hidden right down in that grass. Can y'all see that? Let's bring it right back up here to this one. There we go. And I'm going to find this sort of dark sappy green. We're going to add some stems. Which are quilted, but they're really hard to see. I like these markers for doing detailed stuff. And there goes my pin mark. Goodbye, pin mark. There we go. I have this little flower down there and I don't like that at all. So at some point, I'm going to figure out something to do. I might paint a little flower there or something. I don't really like that flower. But one of the cool things with this is you can come in and you can add little details. So you can add some wispy grass in areas, right? If you like doing like landscape quilts and stuff like that, I think these paint markers would be fabulous for adding small little details. See that? There we go. Nope. Know when to stop, Lisa. So, yeah. There's a lot left to do to this. There's a lot left to do to this. The grass is already starting to dry. The sky is already almost dry. See that? So there we go. I mean, I could just hang out with you all day and probably work on this more. But I hope that this has been a really good demonstration on my setup, like what I like to do. I will show you a finished piece though. I'll bring in the rabbit piece. I made myself a little portable display wall. Did y'all see that? So here's my rabbit piece. Isn't that pretty? Now I did heat set this, even though I did not use any fabric medium on it. I did heat set it, and I feel like that softens it up a little bit. Do you know what I'm saying? Let me zoom this back out so you can see the whole thing. That's better. Here's my bunny. Now you'll see, originally I painted in the eye with black watercolor paint, but the fabric around it was still wet, so it did bleed around the eye a little bit. Once it was dry, I came in with a black acrylic marker and colored it in really dark, but there's still somewhere it bled out. I mean, that happens. But see the dot in the eye? That was using the acrylic marker as well. But don't you just love it? Now the sky, full transparency, I did add most of the color with an airbrush. But then because it had been so long since I used an airbrush, I didn't love it. So I did come in with some watercolor paint to soften up the lines. Like some of these darker lines, that's the airbrush. And I didn't love it once I did it. Do you know what I'm saying? So I came in and I softened it up with watercolor paints, just to make it a little bit softer. So, like, I really need to spend a lot more time with the airbrush to feel more fluent with that. But isn't that pretty? Are the markers like the paint? It can't be washed. You know what? Let's come back here. You know what I'll do? Let's go check it out. Because I couldn't figure it out. It says it's waterproof. You know what? Give me a sec. We're going to go look at this listing together. Because my experience with these markers is very limited and new. Okay? I don't want to give you bad information, but let's go look at it. Just give me a second. I'm going to go find the listing for you. We're going to look at it together. I have to pull up the listing where I bought it, which means I have to scroll some. And I also have to make sure it's not showing my address. Okay. Or any pertinent information. I think we're good. All right, I'll share my screen with you and we're going to look at it. All right, Meeden acrylic paint markers. Yeah, so I got the set that has 72, but they have a set that's got 24 colors, right? And it's like $10 cheaper. And there's also a set of 48. But let's scroll down here where it says, with great light fastness and UV resistant, color stays vivid over time. Perfect for illustration and window painting. That sounds fun. That sounds right up my alley. An ideal choice for both beginners and professional artists. It has a soft, elastic brush tip. Let's see. Shake well. Quick, dry acrylic ink. No bleeding, and supports smooth layering paint markers, making your creative process faster and more efficient. Once dry, the color stays vibrant, waterproof, and resistant to smudging or rubbing, keeping your artwork fresh over time. Right? You can read all of that if you want to click on the listing. But then I like clicking on all these buttons over here. Can it be used on metal? Is the ink permanent? Let's click on that. It says yes, the Meeden acrylic paint markers use waterproof acrylic ink that becomes permanent once it's dry. And it dries in about 30 seconds. So, I don't know. I feel like, let's come back over here. I feel like, to me, before I would say, you can use this on your quilt blocks and then wash your quilts repeatedly. I don't know that I would say that, even after reading that. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I don't know for myself. And do you know what else? Hold on a second. We're going to come back here so I can read your comments. Do you know what else? It's like so many of the things that I've showed you over the years, printing on fabric, painting on fabric, all this stuff. I feel like a lot of the times it comes down to what fabric did you use? Did you use the fabric medium or not? Did you follow the instructions on the fabric medium for heat setting? So many variables. Do you know what I mean? But what kind of paint do you use for your airbrush? You know what? I could show you that too, because I bought a set of like 50 colors. In my years of working with airbrush paints, I didn't truly love the paints that I used for doing this bunny picture. Not that the paints weren't beautiful, but they're thicker. And it does come with 5 bottles of thinner, but each time you want to switch out, you have to mix the thinner with the paint, and it's very high maintenance. The colors are beautiful, but I just want to pour the paint in and go. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to mix the thinner in there. But that was specific airbrush paint. I have used acrylics. I have used inks. In my working every day with an airbrush as a restoration artist, I used the lacquers in my airbrush. And you want to talk about something that dries very quickly, lacquer. But I used to airbrush on motorcycles. So that was fun. So I've used all kinds of paints in my airbrush. But I do use a lot of acrylics, and those you have to thin down too. I want fast results, and I tend to work very quickly. And so mixing thinners and stuff is not something that I would want to do if I'm using lots of different colors. Do you know what I mean? So I don't want to talk about the brand that I used for this. And I am going to be ordering some that is already thinned and ready to spray with the compressor that I'm using. Do you know what I mean? When I bought this airbrush kit, it came with a small compressor. I don't know that I love the small compressor either. Like, I like some airflow. Do you know what I'm saying? And this little compressor, it's quiet. And it takes up hardly no space in my studio. Those are fantastic pluses. But the max airflow pressure that it does is on the lower end. Do you know what I'm saying? So for the paint that I used on the bunny, you had to thin out the paint because the air pressure was not very strong. That's a lot of information. All getting back to test your stuff. I went on a total side rant. The acrylic paint markers. Test them. If you want to use them in a quilt block that you know is going to get washed, test it before you do anything. Before you spend hours and hours and money making quilts and all this stuff, and then you give it to somebody and it washes out the first time they wash it. Before that ever happens, take a minute. Get a swatch of the fabric you're using in your quilt and paint it. And then wash it and see what happens to that before you ever do it on your quilt. That's my biggest recommendation. That's for anything. Am I gonna let you know what to buy? Darlene, the last thing I want to do is enable you to buy an airbrush if you don't want to get into it. But yes, I will tell you if you're interested. I will tell you what I got. Not today, because I'm still playing with it. I've only messed with it one time. It was super fun. But I already knew from that one experience, I need to make some changes to that setup. But I will absolutely share with you what I'm using. What long arm do you have? I have a Nolting Pro Series 24, which means that it has 24 inches of throat space. Yes, Steffi said, make a little mug rug and then wash it. That's a good idea. What's neat is that I started a mini mushroom cross stitch last night. Ah, small roll. Yeah. Well, you know, mushrooms are all the trending thing now, right? The cottagecore, the mushrooms. I sort of made a plan for being creative this year instead of just winging it, you know what I mean? And I did a lot of research. And so if you're wondering why the mushrooms, actually a couple months before Christmas, both of my girls got really heavily into like the cottagecore decorating their house kind of stuff with the mushrooms. And for Christmas, they got lots of mushroom decor for the kitchen. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what they wanted. But the cottage kind of look is in this year. So we're doing the mushrooms. I love my machine, I will tell you. It is like industrial strength, which is perfect for me because I quilt t-shirt quilts and quilts made from clothing like denim blue jeans, jackets, sweatshirts, Lots of heavier kind of clothing items sometimes, and it don't matter. It quilts through everything. I love it. Do y'all hear Dolly barking? Maybe I should go let Munchie in. I have a question that just came to mind. What is the symbolism of owls and Christmas? Owls at Christmas time? I don't know, Rhonda. You know what? I'm going to go let Munchie in, and we'll continue to talk for a second, okay? But I'm going to put this on the screen in case someone comes in and wonders why my seat is empty. I came prepared today. Okay? I'm going to be right back. Come on, Munchie do. Come on. It says I'm letting Munchie out, but I'm actually letting Munchie in. Come in, Munchie do. Come on. Here she is. Isn't she so cute? She's a mama's girl. She's a mama's girl. Yes, you are. Did you have fun? Did you have fun? Are you ready for some lunch? So, yes, I hope, you know what? I hope the takeaway, I mean, I know we didn't paint the whole quilt, right? But I hope the takeaway is that it has sparked your interest if you've never tried this. And see what you think. You know what I'm saying? Now she's got her deer antler. She's going to start making lots of noise. And I'm pretty sure she wants some lunch like her mama. I know she's so big, right? Come here, Munchie do. Come here. It's time to play with the deer antler she found outside. Come here. Show everybody how big you are. Look over here. Yes, you're big. I know. Okay, here. Go on now. She found that in our backyard. It's her most beloved toy she has. It's the only one that is surviving her being a puppy, too. We have thrown so many toys away because she destroys them. Not that thing. All right, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I look forward to... Oh, that's what I wanted to say. Let me check my calendar real quick, y'all. It's next week. Guess where I'm going? Out of town with my cousin Stacy. We'll be back Thursday night. You know what we're going to do next week? I'm going to write it down so I don't forget. We will be live next Friday. We're going to do some pyrography, wood burning, the mushrooms. Yes. And then we're going to talk about the following Friday, because then that's Mid-Atlantic Quilt Festival. Do you know what I'm saying? Anybody going to QuiltCon in North Carolina? I'm writing this down. Wood burning. Anybody going to QuiltCon? This will be my first time going. Oh, Chrissy, I would love to meet you in person. I feel like you and Gan meeting me at QuiltCon would be like the perfect thing. Wouldn't it be awesome? I'm not driving. Stacy's driving. If it was up to me to drive, I would not be going. I would not be going. I'm excited to go and to see all the stuff there, though. And so, yeah, next Friday, burning, which has nothing to do with quilts. But you know what? I made a little wood burned mushrooms. It's right behind me somewhere. And put little hooks on it, and I can hang my trivets in my kitchen. So there you go. It is in Raleigh, North Carolina. Girl, you're making so much noise with that antler. Welcome to a day in my world. Welcome to a day in my world. Yes, I know. You just want to play. All right, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I'm going to put myself on mute. And I'll see you next week, okay? Bye, everybody.
In the quiet of the evening light, with needles dancing, stitching inside each patch of story, every thread is unbinding love and fabric where we belong. Every stitch a whispered prayer, in every corner I find you there. Oh, sweet patchwork of our days, stitched together in so many ways. With every thread, our lives entwined in this quilted love, our hearts aligned.